Let me ask you something. If I gave you $100,000 today and told you that in 10 years it would feel like $55,000, would you still call that safe? Because that's exactly what's happening. Not through a crash, not through a scandal, not through a bad investment, through time. You save money, you feel responsible, disciplined, mature, you avoid risk, you delay gratification, you make sacrifices others don't. You skip impulse purchases, you plan ahead, you think long term, you choose security over excitement. And yet, life keeps getting more expensive. Groceries cost more, rent increases, insurance rises, energy bills climb, healthcare costs expand, education becomes heavier, even basic services quietly cost more each year. But your savings account looks fine. The number is higher than last year. It keeps growing slowly, predictably. On paper, you are doing everything right. So why does your money feel weaker? Why does the same salary buy less freedom? Why does stability feel harder to maintain? Here's the uncomfortable truth. Money is not a number. Money is what the number can buy. And if prices rise faster than your savings grow, you are not preserving wealth. You are slowly losing it. The dangerous part? You don't feel it immediately. There is no alert, no red warning sign, no dramatic headline, no notification telling you your purchasing power just dropped 3%. Just silent erosion. And silent losses are the most dangerous ones because they don't trigger action. If your bank pays you 2%, but inflation runs at 6%, you didn't grow. You fell behind, quietly, and over years, that quiet gap becomes enormous. Small percentages feel harmless until they compound. Half the power, half the options, half the flexibility, half the freedom. The future you imagined slowly becomes more expensive than you planned, and by the time most people notice, a decade has already passed. That's the risk most people never see. Let's step back and look at the math calmly. You have $10,000. Your bank pays 2%. After 1 year, you have $10,200. That feels like progress. But if inflation is 6%, something that cost $10,000 last year now costs $10,600. Your account says $10,200. Reality says you are $400 short. Same discipline, same behavior, less purchasing power. Now zoom out further. At 6% average inflation, prices don't just rise 60% over 10 years, they compound. Inflation compounds the same way investments do, quietly, consistently, relentlessly. In roughly 12 years, your money loses almost half its purchasing power. That's not opinion, that's arithmetic. This doesn't mean saving is wrong. Savings are essential. They protect you from emergencies. They create stability. They reduce stress. They buy time when something unexpected happens. Without savings, you are fragile. With savings, you are stable. But stability is not growth. Savings are the foundation, not the building. If all you have is a foundation, you are protected, but you are not advancing. Here's another layer most people ignore. When you deposit money in a bank, it doesn't sit there. It gets lent out. Mortgages at higher rates, business loans, credit lines, corporate financing, government debt instruments. Your deposit becomes someone else's leverage. If the bank pays you 2% and earns 6, 7%, sometimes more, the system is working, just not primarily in your favor. Again, this isn't evil, it's structure. Banks operate on spread, economies operate on expansion. Currencies gradually lose purchasing power over long periods. If you only save and never own productive assets, you are positioned on the slower side of compounding, and over long periods, slow growth loses to rising prices. People often confuse volatility with risk. When investments move up and down, it feels unstable, unpredictable, uncomfortable. When cash stays still, it feels calm, controlled, safe. But still, money in an inflationary world isn't stable. It's shrinking quietly. There are two types of pain: visible volatility, invisible erosion. Visible volatility is emotional. It tests your patience. It demands perspective. It requires long-term thinking. Invisible erosion is subtle. It tests your awareness. It punishes in silence. It rewards passivity with decline. Most people choose the invisible one because it feels calmer in the short term. But calm is not the same as safe. And over decades, the math always wins. So what's the shift? You still need savings. You still need liquidity. You still need a cushion. But you also need growth. Savings protect your present. Assets protect your future. The goal isn't to gamble. It isn't to chase hype. It isn't to speculate blindly. It isn't to time the market perfectly. It's to ensure your money grows, at least as fast as the system expands. Because inflation is not an accident. It's embedded in modern economies. Growth and monetary expansion are structural. If prices trend upward over time, your strategy must account for that. Owning productive assets, businesses, diversified markets, real assets means participating in growth instead of standing outside it. It means you benefit from expansion instead of absorbing its cost. The real risk is not movement, it's stagnation. The disciplined saver who never transitions eventually discovers that safe wasn't safe enough. And the solution isn't extreme, it's structured, intentional, measured, long-term. Build your foundation, emergency fund, stability, peace of mind. Then build on top of it ownership, growth, participation. That's how purchasing power survives. And that's how options expand instead of shrink. That's how time becomes an ally instead of an enemy. But here's the deeper question. If inflation quietly erodes your money every year, why does it continue? Who benefits from a system where money loses value over time? And why is it considered normal? In the next video, we break that down. Because once you understand the cause, you stop reacting emotionally and start positioning strategically. And that changes everything.